So let's take a minute to get comfortable in a seated position. It does not have to be cross-legged if that's not comfortable for you. You can have the legs stretched out in front of you, or maybe the knees bent and the feet planted on the floor, or maybe you've got a folded up beach towel underneath you to lift your seat up just a little bit. So take a minute and get comfortable. Think about opening up the collarbones, melting down the shoulder blades, and then closing your eyes. Taking just a moment here, letting your breath settle into its natural rhythm. And as you're sitting here breathing, take a moment to check in with your body, noticing how your body is feeling today. There's no judgment, just an observation. Noticing if any areas are feeling tight or tense. And taking a moment now to empty your mind, setting aside the to-do list, letting go of any worries. And now setting an intention for yourself for today's class. Perhaps it's to stay present in the moment, or maybe it's to be gentle in your practice today. Or it could be to be gracious with yourself as you move through your practice, or something else that's just right for you. And with that intention in mind, we'll draw the hands to heart center. And then from here, we'll make our way to Child's Pose. As we come to Child's Pose, the knees will be apart, big toes together, leaning the hips back over the heels, stretching the arms out, and maybe the forehead rests on the ground. And then we'll take both hands and we'll walk them off to the right edge of the mat, maybe even off the mat, getting a stretch through the left side of the body. If you need a deeper stretch, you can stack that left hand on top of the right, and then think about pulling the left hip back. And then we'll walk the hands across to the left edge of the mat, or maybe even off the mat, feeling that stretch through the right side of the body. And again, if you need to go deeper, that right hand can stack on top of the left, right hip drawing back. Walking the hands back to the middle for Child's Pose. And on your next inhale, we'll rise up onto the knees, arms and gaze overhead. Exhale, hands to the floor as you come to all fours. From here, we'll drop the belly, take the shoulder blades down the back, and scoop the tailbone up for cow. And then on your next exhale, stretch the spine up towards the ceiling, press the ground away with the hands for cat. Inhaling as you drop the belly, scoop the tailbone up for cow. Exhale as you arch into your cat. Working back and forth, inhaling for cow, and exhaling to cat. Warming up the spine here. And after your next cat round, come back to a neutral spine. From here, we're going to curl the toes under and lift the hips up to find our first down dog. We're working towards an upside down V with the body. Know that it might feel better to have a slight bend in the knees and push the hips back, so we really find some length through the spine. We want to keep the arms long, the shoulders open. Taking a couple of breaths here. Fingers are spread wide on the mat. And then we'll walk the hands back to meet the feet, finding a forward fold at the back of the mat. And again, it may feel better with a slight bend in the knees here as we're just starting to warm up, letting the shoulders and the head hang down. Another breath right here. And then we'll walk the hands back out to find a second down dog. And in this down dog, find a way to move that feels good for you. It could be inhaling up on the toes and exhaling the heels towards the mat. It might be softly bending one knee and letting the opposite heel melt towards the floor, and then pedaling back and forth between the 2 feet. Or maybe it feels good to lift up onto the toes and then drop both heels to one side, getting a stretch through the opposite side body. And again, inhale up onto the toes, drop both heels to the other side. Coming back to a steady down dog. And then we'll walk the feet up to meet the hands, finding a forward fold at the top of the mat. Hands can be loose, so you can take an elbow in either hand. And again, remember, you can have a slight bend in the knees if that feels better for you. And it might feel good here to sway a little bit from side to side. Or maybe it feels better to walk the hands to one side and hold that stretch just a little bit. Coming back to the middle, releasing the hands, softly bending the knees and rolling up one vertebrae at a time. And we'll find mountain pose at the top of our mats. Getting ready for our sun salutations now. We'll inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale to plank pose and hold. In this plank, you can be on the toes or on the knees. It's whichever one feels better for you. Think about keeping the belly engaged here, shoulders back and down. And then on your next inhale, we'll lift the hips to come into down dog. On your next inhale, we'll step to the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling to plank pose and hold. Again, you can be on the toes or on the knees. Think about staying strong through the core, pressing up between the shoulder blades. Fingers spread wide on the mat. And on your next inhale, lift through the hips to find your down dog. On your next inhale, step to the top. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to your plank. You have choices. You can hold that plank pose, or you can drop down onto the knees and lower through your chaturanga or tricep push-up. We'll inhale the chest up for cobra, shoulders back and down. Exhale back to the ground. Push up through hands and knees to find down dog. On your next inhale, step to the top. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to plank. Choices. You can hold that plank again. You can drop down on the knees. You can stay on the toes as you lower through chaturanga or your tricep push-up. Inhale that chest up for cobra, shoulders back and down. Back to the ground. And then choices. You can come up through hands and knees, or you can curl the toes under, turn that core on, and press up through a plank position to find your down dog. On your next inhale, step to the top. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to plank. Lots of choices. You can hold that plank. You can lower all the way down to the ground, or you can really turn that core on, lower halfway down to chaturanga, elbows and shoulders on the same level. Then roll over the tops of the feet to an up dog and lift through the hips for down dog. Taking a couple of breaths here in your down dog. And then we're going to work into our standing poses. So we're going to step that left foot up between the hands. We'll ground the right heel with the toes pointed diagonally. And we're going to inhale the arms up to find our first warrior one. And I'm going to change directions so you guys can see things on this side a little bit clearer. So you want to think about your feet being spread to back and front thirds of your mat. Your hips are anywhere from a 45-degree angle coming around to the front. We're going to stretch the arms up overhead, but let the shoulders relax down. We've got a bend in that front knee. On your next exhale, we'll open for a warrior two. So in our warrior two, the hips are about a 45-degree angle. We want to get the shoulders stacking right on top of the hips, that left knee continuing to point straight ahead, and then the arms stretching to the front back as we gaze over that left hand. And then on your next exhale, we'll find a modified side angle. So that left elbow is going to come to the knee, right arm is going to stretch overhead. Big stretch through that left hip and glute. Don't forget to breathe here. And then we'll exhale the hands down to the floor, coming to a lunge. Drop down on that back knee. Take a minute here. Make sure the left knee is stacked on top of the ankle. We don't want to let the knee get out over the toes. So adjust that left foot if you need to. And then we're going to curl the back toes under, and you have choices from here. You can step straight back to down dog, or from your lunge, you can step back to plank. Lower through your chaturanga. You can either stop at chaturanga or all the way down to the ground. Inhale for your up dog or cobra. And then find down dog. All right, now I'm going to change directions again so we can repeat on the right side. So let's step that right foot up between the hands. We'll ground the left heel with the toes pointed diagonally. And inhale the arms up for our warrior one. So again, those hips are anywhere from a 45-degree angle coming around to the front. We've got a bend in that front knee. Arms are going to lift up, but shoulders relax down. Gaze may start to move up. On your next exhale, we'll open for our warrior two. So those hips are about a 45-degree angle. Right knee continues to point straight ahead. Arms stretching to the front and back. Gaze is over the right hand. And then on your next exhale, a modified side angle. Right elbow to the right knee. Left arm stretching up, letting those hips soften and melt down towards the floor. And then on your next exhale, we'll come down to our lunge. Drop down on that back knee. Take a minute, make sure that right knee is stacking over the ankle. Again, we don't want to let it get past the toes here. So you may need to walk that right foot up a little bit. Take a breath or two here, letting this left hip flexor soften and melt towards the ground. And then on your next exhale, we'll find our down dog. It may be stepping straight back to down dog, or maybe you're working through that plank variation. And then we'll take a couple of breaths here in our down dog. We're going to repeat that series again. I'm going to throw out some options. Take the ones that work for you, ignore the ones that don't. This is your yoga practice. You've got to make it feel good for you. All right, so as we settle into that down dog, first option is to lift that left leg for a 3-point down dog. If you're finding your 3-point down dog, think about keeping the hips and the shoulders level here from side to side. And then everybody step that left foot up between the hands. Ground that right heel. Inhale up, warrior one. So think about using the front and back sections of your mat. That bend in the left knee. Shoulders over the hips. Back leg strong and engaged. And then we'll exhale as we open for our warrior two. Again, the hips are about 45 degrees. Left knee's pointing straight ahead. If I glance down, I can see my left big toe on the inside of the knee. Gaze starts to move over that left hand. And then on your next exhale, it can be a modified side angle with the left elbow on the knee, or it can be an extended side angle with that left hand coming down to the floor, or maybe you've got a block or a prop in here that hand's resting on. Right arm stretching overhead. See if you can roll that right shoulder back and open a little bit, and that gaze moves up towards the ceiling. The left hip starts to soften and melt towards the floor. And then we'll exhale the hands to the floor as we come to our lunge. Dropping down on that back knee. Left knee stacking over the ankle. You can stay right here. If you want to move a little bit deeper in this hip stretch, both hands can come to the inside of the left foot, and that left foot can walk out so that we can line the hands up right underneath the shoulder here. And again, think about taking some breaths here. If this is a good stretch, stay here. If you have a little bit more space, again, you may have a prop that you can drop the elbows onto that prop, or maybe the elbows are comfortable coming all the way down to the floor. Think about letting the chest start to melt here. And just breathe. It's a lot going on in that left hip, so be gracious. A lot of sensations and feelings. Just breathing. And then we'll come back up onto the hands if you drop down on the elbows. Left hand's going to come to the outside of the left foot as we walk it in. Curl the back toes under and find down dog. Either going straight back to your down dog or working through one of your plank variations. All right, we'll repeat that same series on the right side. Option if you'd like to lift that right leg for your 3-point down dog. Remember, if you're lifting that leg, shoulders and hips are level from side to side. And then everybody step that right foot up. Ground the left heel. Inhale the arms up. Warrior one. Don't forget to breathe. Exhaling as you open for your warrior two. Remember, glance down at that right knee. Can you see the big toe on the inside of the knee? If that knee's fallen in, then pull the knee back out. Arms stretching out, gaze over the right hand. And then on your next exhale, either a modified side angle with the elbow on the knee, or extended with the hand coming to the block or the floor. Think about that left shoulder rolling back open. Gaze moves up. Hips softening. And then we'll exhale the hands down to the floor for our lunge. Dropping down on that back knee. Right knee stacking over the ankle. You can stay here if this is a good stretch. If you want to move a little bit deeper, both hands can come to the inside of the right foot, and you can walk that right foot out for some space, getting the hands lined up underneath the shoulders. And again, you can decide this may be a good stretch right here. If so, stay. If you've got a little bit more space, you can drop those elbows down onto a prop or all the way down to the floor. Wherever you are, breathe. Notice what's happening in that hip. There's no judgment with it. It's just an observation. There may be some warmth in there. Maybe you can feel some stretch going on. Coming back up onto the hands. Right hand is going to come to the outside of the right foot. Curl the back toes under and find your down dog. It may be stepping straight back or it may be working through a plank. In your down dog, check to make sure fingers spread wide. We're not dumping in the shoulders. You don't want to be rounded way forward, putting a lot of extra weight in the shoulders. We want to lift the hips up. Maybe you need to bend the knees to make that happen. Lengthen out through the spine and the shoulders. Maybe the legs straighten a little bit more, maybe they don't, and that's okay. And then for your next several breaths, we're taking a break. Decide, is it going to be child's pose with the arms stretched out and the forehead down? Maybe it's going to feel better instead to flip over onto your back. And you can draw the knees into the chest. You can hold on to the backs of the thighs or the front of the shins. Wherever you are, take a moment here. Let your breath find its rhythm again. Take a moment to appreciate your efforts so far. And then we'll make our way back to down dog. We're going to go through those standing poses one more time. Throwing out some more options. Remember, take the options that work for you. Ignore the ones that don't. All right, first option is to lift that left leg for a 3-point down dog. If you'd like to get a little deeper in the hip, then maybe you're going to bend the knee. Start to open the hip up towards the ceiling, working to stack that left hip on top of the right, but at the same time keeping the shoulders level here. And then everybody stepping that left foot up. Ground the right heel. Inhale the arms up for our first warrior one on this side, this time through. Let the shoulders melt down. Gaze moves up. Maybe it feels good to find cactus arms here where we bend the elbows, opening up across the chest. And then we'll inhale the arms back overhead. Exhale as you open for your warrior two. And maybe this time you want to try flipping the palms up towards the ceiling. Again, think about the shoulders stacking right on top of the hips. Flipping those palms back down, we'll find our side angle. It can be left elbow on the knee or that left hand extending. If you're looking for a little bit deeper here, and that left hand is comfortably on the floor, you can find a bind. We'll drop the right arm down the back, reaching towards the outside of that left thigh. And then that left arm is going to sweep underneath the knee, clasping the hands, and then rolling the shoulders back open so we stack the right shoulder over the left. Hips still softening and melting towards the floor. And then releasing that bind. Everybody coming down to our lunge, dropping down on that back knee. You decide if you're going to stay right here, or if you're going to bring both hands to the inside of the left foot, letting that left foot walk out to make some space. And again, you can stay here on the hands, or you can drop down onto the elbows, onto a prop, or onto the floor. Once you're settled into your lizard pose, option if you'd like to curl those back toes under and pick that right knee up off the floor, keeping that right leg strong and engaged. Don't forget to breathe here. Keep the gaze down towards your hands. If you lift it up on the toes, drop back down on the knees. Everybody coming back up onto the hands. Left hand to the outside of the left foot. Curl the back toes under and find down dog, either stepping straight back or working through one of your plank variations. All right, we're going to go through that series one more time on the right side. Option if you'd like to lift that right leg for your 3-point down dog. And maybe you'd like to go a little deeper, bending the knee, starting to open the hip up, stacking that left hip over the right, but working to keep the shoulders level here. And then everybody step that right foot up. Ground the left heel, inhale up, warrior one. Last time through on our standing poses. Option if you'd like to find this cactus arms. Thinking about opening up the elbows to the side. Inhaling the arms overhead. Exhale as you open for your warrior two. Option this time to flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Right knee still pointing straight ahead. Flip the palms back down. And then everybody finding your side angle. It can be elbow on the knee or extended. If you're finding that hand is comfortable on the floor, that right hand, you can work towards a vine. Left arm drops down the back, reaching for the outside of the right thigh. Right arm sweeps underneath the knee, clasp the hands, and then roll that left shoulder back open. Gaze starts to move up. If you're bound, releasing your bind. And then everybody coming down to your lunge, dropping down on that back knee. You can stay right here in your lunge, or you can bring both hands to the inside of the right foot as you walk that foot out to make some space. And again, you can stay here on the hands, or you can drop down onto the elbows. Option, when you've settled into your lizard pose, if you'd like to curl the back toes under and lift that left knee up off the ground for a couple of breaths, you can. Keep that gaze down at your hands. Don't let the shoulders collapse. And then everybody dropping back down on that knee if you lifted. Coming up onto the hands. Right hand to the outside of the right foot. Curl the back toes under and find your down dog. On your next inhale, step to the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to the side. All right, nice job on your standing poses. Let's work on some balance a little bit. So we're going to flow with our balance. We're going to start with that left foot down. The right foot's going to come up to find tree. You have several options in your tree pose. You can have that right heel just above the left ankle, hands at heart, and then you can pick the toes up to work balance. Or you have the option to bring that right foot against the calf. You want to open the knee towards the side, hands at heart, shoulders relaxed down, and imagine there's a string coming out of the top of your head lifting you up, helping you find some height. Just another breath here. And then we'll release. Same thing on the other side. So that right foot's down. You can have the left heel just above the right ankle and pick up the toes to practice your balance. Or you can bring that left foot against the right calf. Wherever you are, hands at heart. Grow tall. And don't forget to breathe. And release. All right, we're going to start to add on. We're going to repeat that tree pose and start to add some other poses on. So we'll start with that left foot down. Right foot comes up for your tree. Hands to heart, grow tall. Option here if you'd like to stretch the arms overhead for your tree. And then drawing the hands back to heart center. We'll stretch the arms out to the side. Release that right foot, let it hover just above the ground. Maybe you stay right here and this is your star pose. If you have a little bit more space, you can start to tip that left hand down as the right arm and leg lift up a little bit to counterbalance. Breathing here, drawing the belly in towards the spine. And then we'll inhale as we come back upright and release. All right, same thing on the other side. So that right foot's down. Left foot comes up for your tree, hands to heart. Hands can stay here at heart, or they can stretch overhead. And then we'll draw the hands back to heart center. Release the arms out to either side. And then let that left foot just hover right above the ground. Maybe this is your star pose right here. Or maybe that right hand starts to tip down. Left arm and leg will lift up to counterbalance. Belly button draws in to support the spine here. Inhaling as you come back upright. Once more through on that flow, I'll throw out some options. Again, you take what works, ignore what doesn't. Left foot's down, right foot comes up for tree. If you were comfortable in that earlier version of tree and want to move a little bit deeper, that right foot can come up against the inner left thigh. Hands are going to come to heart. Belly draws up and in. Maybe those arms stretch overhead. Maybe that right arm drops down for swaying tree. And then that right arm lifts back up. Hands come back to heart. Arms stretch out to the side. Release that right foot, let it hover just above the ground. Pull that belly button back in. Maybe your star is here, or maybe there's a little tipping going on. Inhale as you come back upright. Same series through on the other side, so that right foot's down. Left foot comes up for your tree. Remember, you have the option to bring that left foot all the way up against the inner right thigh. Hands to heart to start with. Belly up and in. Maybe the arms stretch overhead. Maybe that left arm drops down for swaying tree. Left arm lifting back up. Hands back to heart. And then we'll stretch those arms out to either side. Release that left foot, let it hover. Pull that belly up and in again. And then maybe that right hand starts to tip down. Inhaling back up. All right, let's make our way down to the floor. We'll do a little bit of core work and a little bit of stretching. So we'll find our mountain pose at the top of our mats. We'll inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling to down dog. You choose, you going straight back to down dog, or would you like to work through one of our plank variations from earlier? And then from here, we're going to come to sitting. All right, we're going to work into a boat pose next for our core work. So we're going to have the feet planted on the floor with the knees bent, and the hands are going to come behind us. You want to think about keeping the chest nice and open, elbows drawing together behind you. And on your next exhale, you're going to lean back just a little bit until you feel these abdominal muscles kick on. Maybe this is a good place for your boat. If you have a little bit more space, you might bring the feet up off the floor, shins parallel to the ground. And you can decide, feet flexed or pointed, which one feels better for you here. If you still want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring the hands up behind the knees. Think about shoulders staying down, collarbone staying open here, belly button drawing in. Don't forget to breathe here. And then we'll come down and we'll find a Cobblers Pose. So that's the soles of the feet together, knees falling open. The hands can rest somewhere on the legs of the feet. And if you have a little room, you're welcome to fold forward here, getting a little bit deeper stretch in the hips. And we're going to repeat that a couple of times, throwing out options. Again, take the options that work for you, ignore the ones that don't. So we're going to get those feet planted on the floor. Hands are going to be behind us. Collarbones open, shoulders back and down, elbows drawing towards each other behind you. And then lean back a little bit. Feel this core kick on. Maybe this is a good place for your boat. Maybe those feet lift. Maybe the hands come behind the legs. Last option is to stretch those arms out. Fingertips pointing down towards the feet. Make sure the chest stays open, collarbones nice and broad here. We don't want to collapse through the chest. Don't forget to breathe. And then we'll come down and find another Cobblers Pose. Soles of the feet together, knees falling open. Exhaling forward. Coming back up, setting up for another boat pose. So feet planted, hands behind us, lean back a little bit, feel that core kick on. Maybe right here is where you stay. Maybe the feet lift, maybe the hands behind the knees, maybe the arms stretching out. Another option to add on is maybe those legs stretch out as well too. Don't forget to breathe, keep that chest nice and open, don't let it collapse. And you can work back and forth between two. You don't have to stay one place the whole time. You might alternate moving back and forth between some of the options. And then everybody coming down for a Cobblers Pose. Inhaling as you come up. From here, we're going to make our way into Malasana or a squat. Everybody's a little bit different in their feet placement. Some people, the feet are closer together. Some people, their feet are out a little bit wider. Some people's feet angle out. Some point straight ahead. So you may have to play with your foot placement a little bit if you've not done this one before. So we're going to work our way down. Not everybody's heels make it down to the floor, so don't panic if yours don't. May make balance a little bit more challenging here, but that's all right. Malasana is very good for low back, helping stretch out through the low back. So finding your version of a squat right now, what's tolerable, it may not be delightful, but what can you breathe through right here? Letting those hips soften and melt, opening up. Just a couple of more breaths right here. And then on your next inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting up to standing and releasing. All right, so here's where we're going to come up with some options for you. If you've ever been in my class, you know I like to throw out options, some a little bit playful, some a little bit more supportive. So this is where you're going to make a decision what you want to do. We're going to work into crow today, which is an arm balance. Let me show it to you real quick. Then I'm going to give you an option if crow is not what's working for you today. So in crow, we'll do it front on and sideways though. We'll start out in a toe squat with the heels up off the ground. The hands are going to be on the mat spread nice and wide. You want to get the shoulders stacking over the wrists and take up as much territory on the mat with your hands as you can. You're going to lift those hips up nice and high, come way up on the balls of the feet and start to bend the arms. The knees are going to go up towards the armpits and the shins are going to rest along the backs of the arms and the triceps. We're going to stretch forward a little bit and maybe see about picking up one foot and then the other one. Let me turn sideways so you can see what that looks like. All right, again, fingers nice and wide, up on the balls of the feet, bending the elbows, knees way up in the armpits, shins resting on the backs of the arms. Stretch the crown of the head forward, maybe one foot lifts up, maybe the other. Maybe I want to see if I can lift up both, working into an arm balance here. All right, if that's not looking like that's what you want to do right now, couple of options. One, you can lay back on your mat, and you can hug the knees back into the chest again, holding on to the backs of the thighs or the fronts of the shins. Or it may feel better to work into Happy Baby, where we draw the knees to the outside of the rib cage. So those inner thighs are kind of coming on the outside of the ribs. And then you're going to hold on to either the backs of the thighs, the calves or the ankles, or maybe even the outside of the feet, starting to pull those knees down closer to the rib cage and to the armpits. And then see if you can work the tailbone back down onto the mat. All right, one more time, I'll walk you through crow if you'd like to try crow instead. All right, so we're going to come down into a toe squat. Heels are lifted off the ground. Hands spread nice and wide. We're going to lift the hips up, bend the elbows. Knees are going way up in the armpits. Shins are going to rest on the backs of the triceps. Gaze is going to move forward. I've got to stretch the crown of the head forward a little bit. And maybe one foot, maybe both. Just lift up here. Don't forget to breathe. And then we'll lower down. It may feel good to do some figure eights with the wrists. All right, let's settle down for some good hamstring stretches here. So if you like to use a strap in your hamstring stretch, feel free. If you don't have a yoga strap at home, lots of good substitutes. A necktie, a belt. If you've got a bathrobe, the strap off your bathrobe works really well for that. So for this first one, we're going to get the left leg stretched out in front of us. The sole of the right foot is either going to be up against that left inner thigh, or if this isn't feeling good on the right knee or the hip, then just stretch that right leg out to the side and north. First fold, we're going to go with a straight spine. So we're going to think about opening up the collarbones, hands beside us. On an inhale, we'll lift the arms up. Exhale, stretch those hands back down to the floor. Find length. And then maybe there's a little bit of a lean forward here. But think about keeping that spine straight and long right now. We're going to round in just a minute. Think about flexing the left foot, drawing the toes back towards the kneecap here. And then if you're not dealing with disc issues in the spine, we'll inhale those arms back overhead. Exhale as you fold forward here. Hands will just rest on either side of the leg. There may be a bit of a round in the spine here now. The head's going to start dropping down towards the knee or the shin. Some of you may feel comfortable walking the hands down. If the hands comfortably make it down to that left foot, get the hands on either side of the ball of the foot, that kind of fleshy mound there. Fingers curling around the fleshy mound, and then plug the shoulders or the arms back into the shoulder sockets here as you pull back just a little bit on the foot. Getting that nice stretch across the arch, up the back of the calf and into the hamstring. And then we'll inhale as we come up. We're going to work into a little bit of a twist here. So we're going to take this right foot and we're going to plant it on the outside of the left leg. I'm going to turn so you can see. All right, so that right foot's on the outside of the left leg. We're going to take that right hand behind us. We're going to inhale the left arm overhead. Exhale as you twist. And then that left arm can either wrap around the knee or the elbow can come to the outside of the knee as we twist around. Gaze is going to move over that right shoulder. With each inhale, see if you can get a little bit taller, and with an exhale, see if you can twist a little bit deeper. Unwinding back to the front. We'll trade sides for our hamstring stretch now. So that right leg straight out in front of you. Sole of the left foot's against that right inner thigh. Unless that doesn't feel good on this left knee or hip, in which case just stretch that left leg out to the side and ignore it. Remember our first folds with a straight spine. So hands are beside us, get tall. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the hands back to the side, find that length. And then maybe there's a little bit of a lean forward. Think about flexing the right toes, drawing those toes back towards the kneecap here. Couple of breaths right here. And then if you are not dealing with disc issues, we'll inhale the arms overhead. Exhale as you forward fold, hands just resting on either side of that right leg. You may have a round in the spine as the head starts to drop down towards the knee or the shin. You have the option to start to walk the hands down the leg. If the hands comfortably make it down to the foot, remember you can have a hand grasping on either side of the foot, the fleshy part of the mound and the ball of the foot there. And then think about plugging the shoulders back in here. Again, toes pulling back towards the knee here to get that stretch all the way from the arch of the foot up to the hamstring. Just a few more breaths here. And then we'll inhale as we come up. We're going to get that twist again. So that left foot comes to the outside of the right leg. Left hand's going to come behind us. We'll inhale the right arm overhead. Exhale, twist. And then either that elbow to the outside of the knee or the right arm wrapping around the left knee. With each inhale, grow tall. With each exhale, think about twisting a little deeper in the belly. Unwinding back to the front. From here, we're going to work into pigeon to stretch out our hips. I'm going to show you a traditional pigeon first, and then give you an option in case you're dealing with knee issues and that doesn't feel good. All right, so I think the easiest way to get into a traditional pigeon is from down dog. So let's find our down dog pose again. And take a minute in this down dog, fingers spread wide, lengthening out through the spine, through the shoulders. And then we'll draw that left knee forward to the left wrist, shin angling across the mat. So that left heel is going to be by the right hip bone. All right, and we're going to walk that right leg out behind us. We'll drop down onto the elbows. This left hip may be off the ground here, and that's okay. You want to work towards getting the hips as level as you can make them. We don't want to collapse onto the side here. So think about getting those hips nice and level here. All right? If that's not feeling good because of knee issues, instead you can lay back onto the mat. That left ankle comes up right above the right knee. And then we'll pick that right foot up off the floor, and either your hands or a strap will thread behind this right thigh. We just want to make sure the shoulders make it back down onto the mat. We're not lifting up with the shoulders. If you're laying back, that left foot is flexed, and think about that left knee moving away from you. So it doesn't matter which version of pigeon you're in. We're going to hang out here for a little while because it takes the average person 45 to 60 seconds for their hips to stretch out. So we'll trade sides, so pressing back to your down dog so we can get that other side. Right knee draws forward to the right wrist, shin angling across the mat so the heel's by this left hip bone. Left leg stretches out behind you as you drop down onto the elbows. And again, remember, if that's not feeling comfortable for you on the knee, then you can lay back. That right ankle comes up above the left knee. Left foot lifts off the floor and the hands thread behind the left thigh. Just make sure those shoulders make it back down to the floor and they're not lifting up off the mat. Right foot is flexed, and that right knee is moving energetically away from you. So again, a couple more breaths right here in your pigeon, letting those hips soften and melt. Working to level out the hips from side to side. And then we'll press back to down dog again. And let's go get one last twist in before we relax. So my favorite way to twist is laying down. So as we lay back onto our mats, your knees are bent and the feet are planted on the floor. Arms are stretched out to either side. So press into the feet, lift the hips up, and move them about 2 to 3 inches to the left and then set them down. And then we'll drop both knees over to the right. Gaze moves to the left. Taking a couple of breaths here. Should be feeling a little bit of a stretch through the back. That left shoulder's lifting off the mat. See if you can work it back down to the floor here. And then we'll bring the knees back up to the middle. Straighten those hips out. And then we'll press the feet into the floor, lift the hips up, move them about 2 to 3 inches to the right, set them down. Drop the knees to the left, gaze moves to the right. And again, check and see if that right shoulder's staying down. And then we'll bring the knees back up to the middle. Maybe there's one last pose you'd like to do before we get into relaxation. If so, take a minute. For me, it always feels good to hug those knees into the chest and rock a little bit from side to side. It's like a little massage on the low back. You also have the option of happy baby that we talked about earlier, with the thighs coming to the outside of the rib cage, the knees drawing down towards the armpits, and the tailbone working back down onto the floor. And then wherever you are, let's make our way to a comfortable place for relaxation. You have several options. If you deal with low back discomfort or tightness, this one's probably the best with the feet on the floor and the knees bent. You can also kind of walk the feet out a little bit wider and let the knees come together in tent so that they're not moving while you're in relaxation. Another option is to bring the soles of the feet together, knees falling open for a reclined Cobblers Pose. Another option is to stretch the legs out and let the pinky toes fall towards the mat for Corpse Pose. Or maybe there's something else that's comfortable for you for relaxation. Take a moment and find what's going to be comfortable for a few minutes. I'm going to walk you through a guided relaxation. So as you're laying back, closing your eyes, taking just a moment here to check in with your body. No judgment, it's just an observation. How is your body feeling now? How is that different from the beginning of class? And then take a moment now to scan through your body. Notice if any areas are feeling tight. Or if you notice that you're holding on to tension anywhere. Maybe the jaw is slightly clenched together. If so, relax the jaw, maybe even letting the teeth hang open just a bit. Check in with your low back. Are you holding a lot of tension there? If so, imagine there's a warm light shining on those muscles. And as that warmth moves into the skin, you can feel your muscles starting to relax, the tension starting to ease away. Keep checking in with different parts of your body, consciously letting go of tension, imagining warmth shining on your body, letting the muscles soften. And as your muscles start to relax here, maybe your breath deepens just a little bit. And you begin to notice that as you inhale, the belly rises. And as you exhale, the belly falls back down. And as you take a couple of these deeper, fuller breaths, notice how that feels. Maybe you can recognize that you're getting some of that stale air out of the bottom of your lungs. And you're getting some fresh air in. And then for the next few moments, give yourself the gift. No thoughts, no efforts, no worries. Just a few moments here of quiet relaxation. Taking the time to be grateful to your body for your practice and for this time. If you notice your mind wandering, bring your attention back to your breath, noticing how the breath feels as it moves into your lungs, filling up, and how it feels as you exhale and the belly falls and the air moves out of your body. And gently bring movement back to your fingers and toes. If you would like a full body stretch, take the arms overhead, stretching through the fingers and through the feet, hugging the knees into the chest. Rocking gently from side to side. Letting the knees fall to one side. And then slowly pressing up to a comfortable seated position. Drawing the hands to heart center. And honoring your practice today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today.